from my Los Angeles Lakers, THT and Dynamite. This guy he didn't play a lot last year because he was in the G League. And I have a little bit of an affinity for many reasons.
Hello and welcome to the Friday, May 14th edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Today's episode is definitely going to be a special one. We are doing our end of year NBA award show. We're going to do all the usual awards like I do every single year, but this time I'm going to be adding my own awards to it. And of course, I think this is the first year I'm actually going to have a guest on this award show. Welcome, Tony Tucker of Project Drivel and also of Warzone Sports Network. How's it going, Tony?
Thank you, brother. I am so happy to be back, making my second appearance on the pod. I believe last time I was on, we may have talked mid-season awards and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were talking about, I believe we did an all-star draft. We were talking about stuff that was going on with the Lakers because that was, I think, just after LeBron and AD got injured. So you were definitely in a sour mood, but they're back. They're back for sure. And I think the Lakers, although they might play in the play-in tournament, I'm still pretty confident about them going forward.
You'll see in the background here, I did this on purpose, right? Because when Steph Curry goes off for 60 in the first one, then it might be Spurs Lakers, play in for the 8th seed right there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can already imagine, honestly, that game could bring in just as many viewers as the NBA Finals, and I think this is exactly what the league wants. People they want eyes tuned into the freaking play-in tournament, and this is exactly what they need. Freaking LeBron and Steph Curry fighting it out to get into the playoffs. But yeah, today's episode is going to be very detailed. We're going to go through all of the awards, of course, extra awards, and yeah, it's going to be a really fun episode. Remember, if you haven't already, to follow TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other content. Remember to also subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and on any of the podcast networks. That'll be highly appreciated. And just support Tony in any way possible. I'm going to have his links to his Instagram page in my link tree, as well as the Warzone Sports Network, which he has joined and has been fully involved in over the last few weeks or so. So you should definitely go check out what they're doing over there. They put up awesome content. But yeah, let's start getting into this episode. I mean, it's been a while. Actually, let's talk about firstly the Warzone Sports Network. I mean, what are you guys doing over there, and what have you been doing moving into that network?
So I joined up with them and I'm hosting their live shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights. It's usually around 5:15 Pacific Standard Time. It's a lot of whatever sort of trending and NFL's king in sports talk. It's also my favorite sport to sort of to talk about because so many people are knowledgeable. I love to talk about the NBA, but it's rare to find somebody who watches the NBA like I do, and that's why I enjoy engaging with you. A lot of times it's the casual fan. They wait till, the playoffs to really get into basketball. So it's tougher because there's a lot more bias. Although it doesn't really matter. Anyways, Warzone, putting up stuff all the time. Got football shows, basketball shows, hopefully getting fantasy football, MMA show. Lots of things happening over there and more things to roll out over the summer. Go to Warzone Sports Network on YouTube and support it.
Yeah, I mean, I know quite a number of people in that network as well. We also, one of the guests we had formerly on the show, Brian from Bolstered Up Sports, is also a part of that network. If you watched that episode, you definitely know about him. So yeah, lots of great sports personalities. You guys should go definitely check it out. And honestly, all that stuff you did with the draft and stuff, getting all those different analysts and stuff like that to make their picks for a mock draft. I mean, that was insane. Just going through all that. I mean, man, you guys are putting in work over there.
Absolutely. And that's a big credit to Joe and Mike just being relentless, them going, I had nothing to do. I just showed up and hosted. I was just as shocked as everybody else that they were able to get a lot of the people that they got, and then also being able to include a lot of up and coming, NFL podcasters and content creators in that, and it was a huge success, I believe.
Yeah, it was really good. They have a lot of good stuff over there. Obviously, Tony show going on. You got the Friday Night Wars. You got the Sports First show. They got a lot of stuff. If you're just a general sports fan as well, just go check them out. But Tony, let's move past that. Are you ready to talk some NBA?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Let's do this. Before we get into the award show, I really want to talk about this because this happened literally the day after I posted the Monday podcast. Russell Westbrook, the triple double king. Everyone is now anointing him as such. 182 triple doubles in his career, surpassing what many people thought that was going to be an unbreakable record 10 years ago. Oscar Robertson's 181, and Russell Westbrook, along with his fourth triple double season, averaging a triple double. I mean, it's insane. He did it against the Hawks. It was in a 1-point loss. He threw up a brick at the end there, but who cares? He got the record. Tony, how do you feel about this accomplishment that Russell Westbrook just did?
I'm really happy for Russell Westbrook, and I think that a lot of the negativity surrounding Russell, like he's such a lightning rod, is the fact that he's a little prickly with fans and media and stuff like that. But overall, like, I'm really a fan of watching him play basketball because he's the kind of, all-out effort player that you love as a fan. When you see guys hot dogging it out there, it gets frustrating. You never see that with him. I would love for him to have more playoff success, but you and I have talked about this in the past. I'm not sure what the perfect fit was other than with KD, and this is something that I've really come to the realization to. The biggest mistake in his career will be not understanding what the sacrifice that Scottie Pippen made, right? Like, Scottie Pippen easily could have been a legit number one star on 29 other basketball teams, but he understood that all of the other little things that he could do and ride shotgun and get just as much shine while it was going on, right? I mean, I guess not just as much. We're talking about Michael Jordan, global brand, but like, it's a pretty good run to the top as Scottie Pippen. So like, I'm never one of those people I don't know. I'm getting too far into the weeds on this, but you get what I'm saying. I'm happy. It's very impressive.
Yeah. And the thing, I don't know, like, I like the point you brought up there because, like, whenever I talk to like other NBA fans, we talk about how Russell Westbrook really shouldn't be a number one option on a championship team just because he's such a firecracker in the sense where you don't know when he's gonna completely just go off, do his thing. He can shoot you into a game. He could also shoot you out of it. He's just such a weird paradox to have on your team. But that whole Scottie Pippen thing, like, my only thing with Russell Westbrook is that you can't change who he is, and this is just who he is as a basketball player. I mean, I don't see him playing any other way, and maybe that's a bad thing. It's probably a bad thing at times, but at the same time, he stays true to himself. He does his own thing. I mean, he's breaking records left, right, and center. And it's honestly, this has been extremely impressive, especially because talking just basketball 6 years ago, I mean, everyone had in their like unbreakable records list that no one's going to pass Oscar Roberts' triple-double record. No way. No one's going to pass. Whoever's going to do another triple-double season. No way. Well, Russell Westbrook has now have 4 of these, and now he's breaking the record. I mean, I don't know if you remember like talking basketball back in the day, but did you think that this was unbreakable as well before Westbrook started doing this?
To me, the Big O's record was incredibly untouchable because I grew up watching Magic Johnson, who was a guy that got a lot of triple doubles, and then I watched a lot of Jason Kidd. He got a lot of triple doubles, and he started to flame out, towards the end of his career. Although he did get what they called a lot of Jason Kidd. That's where the Jason Kidd triple double was 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like it's still a good stat. I really did think this record was untouchable. It'll feel the same way when Steph Curry finishes. We'll think, oh, these records are untouchable. But that's what records are meant to be broken. It's an old cliche, and that's for a reason. It's like nobody ever thought that the 4-minute mile would be broken, and then all of a sudden somebody crushed it, and it just keeps going on. It's the evolution of human beings. They become more superior. It's why I say that, like, when you look at the era that LeBron James is playing in, the average person out there athletically is far superior to what it was when I was a kid. Like, a lot of the guys that were playing when I was younger wouldn't even get minutes on today's NBA rosters because the average ability raises with each generation. And it'll be the same thing. We'll start to see more guys that are athletically gifted supreme. The thing that separates them is what goes on in between here. How can you handle pressure moments late in games? And I think you touched on something about the style of player that Russell was. To me, it's not that. It's more of a personality trait. It's being able to understand. If you look at what KD was able to do in Golden State, Steph and Clay were like, come on, bro, we'll play defense. We'll play off ball more and make big shots, because KD is just that supremely gifted. A 7-foot guy who can shoot and dribble like that, he has to be your number one option late in games because he balls like that. So, yes, to answer the first question, I thought this record was untouchable, which is what makes what Russell Westbrook did mind-blowing, to be able to break this record and still be going strong.
Yeah, I can honestly see him getting upwards of like 250 triple doubles by the end of his career, which sounds insane, but that's just the way Russell Westbrook is. I love the point there that you talked about. That's just kind of his personality. At that point, like I said, he's just being himself, and that's something to admire. But that's also something, if you're a championship contender, do you want that personality on your team? Probably not. But this record, highly, highly impressive. Congrats to Russell Westbrook for making history like he did, like he has been doing over these past 5-6 seasons or so. Let's move on to the NBA awards. We have lots of awards to get to. Obviously, we're going to start off with kind of the lower tier awards, and then we're going to build our way to the top. How me and Tony are going to do this is we're going to be talking about our top 3 candidates per award. And then afterwards, we're going to debate who we think the winner is. Tony, you ready, man? You're ready, like talking at the post earlier to this just a couple hours ago, saying that you got some picks there that's gonna shock a lot of people.
Yes, as you know, I am not afraid to say ridiculous things that I actually believe. I don't say them for hot takes. I have told you my Chris Middleton theory, and you and the rest of the internet thinks that I'm an idiot for that. If you want to know that, you gotta DM me personally. Where do you want to start?
We're gonna start the way. Let's start with the young guys. Let's go with the rookie of the year. Obviously the rookie of the year, talking about the best rookie in the NBA this season. Tony, who are your 3 candidates?
So I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna go. Do you want me to give mine in order? Is that how you want it? You want me to give?
No. You say your 3 candidates. I say my 3 candidates, and then I'll ask for your winner, and then we'll just debate it out a little bit.
Okay. So, all right. Obviously, LaMelo Ball is in this conversation. Absolutely incredible what he's been able to do. Also on my list of 3, I have Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves. I love this kid, and he's got personality. I really think the NBA is going to be able to market this kid in his game and stuff like that. And the last person to make my list is the Detroit Pistons' Saddiq Bey.
Nice.
I really like the way he plays. He's tall. He shoots the 3 ball. He's going to have a nice career in the NBA because of the way his game is set up and how rangy he is.
Yeah, very, very good selections. Saddiq Bey, I mean, he was, I think, the second guy that the Pistons drafted in last year's draft, and he honestly is like showed a lot of like promise. He's a very good 3-point shooter, and I honestly was very surprised. Him and Isaiah Stewart out there, they got some things brewing there over in Detroit. In terms of my candidates, we have 2 similar ones. LaMelo Ball, obviously, the impact that he's brought to Charlotte and the way he's been playing his rookie season, absolutely undeniably good. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic this year. Anthony Edwards, I mean, this guy is probably the best interview in the NBA right now. I mean, he like all the sound bites that you get from this guy is absolutely fantastic. And it even started before the season when he was talking with that person about like all the sports he played and stuff. I mean, he's just absolute gold in terms of media. And then my final candidate is Tyrese Halliburton of the Sacramento Kings. Whenever I watch this guy play, it doesn't feel like he's a rookie. He just makes all the right decisions. He is super efficient for a rookie, 47% from the field. He's over 40% from three. I mean, he just does everything well. He's not elite at anything, but he does just has a great all-around game. And that's why I have him on my list as well. But Tony, you got your three candidates. Who is your winner for Rookie of the Year?
Okay, so I don't know how I want to word this. I'll say this. I'll just go ahead. My winner is Anthony Edwards. And here is why. He has played in every game. He has gotten better and better, right? The confidence has improved. I've watched him more than any of the other rookies, I'll be honest. I know that the league has kind of been forcing LaMelo on us. But after that second game against the Lakers, I was like, wow, this kid really improved from their first meeting to their second meeting. And I started watching, jumping in on a few games. It'd be like, oh, this is up on, you see NBA TV is like, oh, the T-Wolves game is on right now. Well, I'll pop in for a minute and watch this kid ball. I am such a fan of him. And at first I wasn't, because he said that crazy stuff about like, I don't even know if I want to play basketball or whatever that quote was. I'm misquoting him, but I was like, you're going to be the number one pick, and you seem kind of like blasé about professional basketball, which was weird. But now that I see it and I'm starting to understand young people a little bit more, like really engaging in social media, like it's just people that are half my age, they're very different in how they operate and think and whatever else. And I was a little bit old manish on my rush to judgment of him. I've since embraced him. He's my guy. The reason I don't have LaMelo and Halliburton didn't make my list is because of the time missed. And then I went and I looked at this just to make sure. The Hornets were 10-11 without, so they were basically 500 without LaMelo. They're basically a 500 team with or without him. So he didn't change. Had that been more like they were 15-7 without LaMelo or something like that, the numbers are probably off. 15-6 in the 21 games he missed, I probably would have went LaMelo just because of that impact. But since they're both kind of having similar impacts, I'm going Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, definitely a good choice. Even till now, like, I mean, Anthony Edwards definitely like has gone better throughout the season. I definitely agree with that point. In the beginning, he was averaging like 13 points a game. He was not very efficient, under 40% from the field. But as he got, throughout the season, especially over these last 2 months or so, he's looked like a very good like one or number two option. Obviously, it hasn't really translated to wins. The Timberwolves are still like the second like worst team in basketball, I believe, or somewhere near there. But I'm gonna have to agree with you. My Rookie of the Year is Anthony Edwards, and it's mostly because of the time missed. I mean, I don't want to like focus too much on like time missed this year compared to other years, just because of the whole COVID situation, the shortened off season. It just isn't a regular season, so I'm willing to kind of have a little bit of leeway there. But Anthony Edwards, just the improvement he's made from especially the first half to the second half, I'm going to have to agree with you. He is just taking the next leap. Besides being like a great soundbite like off the court, he has had some ridiculous highlights on the court as well, along with LaMelo Ball. He looks like he's going to be a really good player for the Timberwolves down the line. It's just all about if they can figure it out with Karl-Anthony Towns along with D'Angelo Russell. But Anthony Edwards, man, I was in the same boat as you. I wasn't sure like how he was going to do coming out the draft, just because he just like, I don't know if you remember about Tracy McGrady before, but whenever he talked to the media, he felt like so like nonchalant, like he kind of like feels like he didn't like want to talk to people. Anthony Edwards is there. He's like super like into it. I mean, he said he could be basically a professional athlete anywhere, but I guess that's just the confidence in him. I love his personality. I have him as my rookie of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really like that, and I think it doesn't. I've heard a lot of people say, well, the Timberwolves have the second worst record. Sure, they play in the Western Conference. If they played an Eastern Conference schedule, I think it'd be a little more favorable, and they'd probably be in that sort of like playing style, like where the Hornets are at now.
Yeah, I mean, 20, like, he also played 20 more games for LaMelo. I mean, I have a LaMelo second, but at the same time, Anthony Edwards did play very well in the time that LaMelo missed as well. Let's move on to the second award of this episode, and we're going to be talking about the Sixth Man of the Year award. Obviously, the best player coming off the bench this NBA season. I'm going to start off with my candidates this time, and then I'm going to go to Tony's. My three candidates: Jordan Clarkson of the Utah Jazz, just has been a consistent piece for them all season. The second highest average scoring, just like the second most in points on that team, 18 points a game. He's been having a really good season. I also have Jalen Brunson of the Dallas Mavericks. He really does remind me of the days of JJ Barea when he was part of those championship Mavericks teams. Just like a very solid backup guard who can relieve pressure off of Doncic, and he will always who's efficient and can make the right decision. And then I have Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, ever since coming to the New York Knicks, has made a massive impact on them coming off the bench. And he has really embraced the role as a sixth man. Even though he's a former MVP, he's been absolutely fantastic. And those are my three candidates. Tony, who you got?
I love it. Okay. I am right there with you on Jordan Clarkson, right? He is going to, we'll get into Clarkson more in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I would like to also echo you on Derrick Rose because he comes in, he can translate the Thibodeau message because a lot of people don't like Tom Thibodeau's style. It feels like it's very heavy on players. It's very grinding, his intensity, and it wears people out. But if you get a veteran like Derrick Rose, he can sort of translate that message coming off the bench. He played very well in the fourth quarter against the Lakers the other night. It was entertaining. By the way, if you guys want to see the defense still exists in the current NBA, go back and watch that the Knicks-Lakers game.
Oh, yeah, the overtime game? The overtime game, yeah.
They were beating each other up and just like shot clock violations because they were smothering. That game was intense. It was so much fun. Yeah, and THT hitting that three.
Yeah,
game. Love it. Anyways, my last sixth man is to a guy that I never thought would accept this role, ever. Derrick Rose at least is humble and quiet. Carmelo Anthony. Yeah. Right there. Carmelo coming off the bench in Portland to me it's absolutely outstanding. And I think for the continued success needed in Portland, this guy's going to have to continue to be able to give them this kind of production late in games. I mean, coming off the bench in the game.
Yes, 100%. I like those decisions. For me, it was between Jalen Brunson and Carmelo Anthony. I don't know why. I've been watching a lot of Dallas Mavericks game, and I just love Jalen Brunson's game. He just always seems to make the right decision. Like, he's like your prototypical backup point guard that every team wants, and he's been doing great things for them basically ever since he's got to the Dallas Mavericks. By the hint you gave earlier, I believe we should have the same sixth man of the year. For me, I got Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
Jordan Clarkson, yes, he's had a fantastic year. One of the players like Julius Randle, like Brandon Ingram, who have left the Lakers and just absolutely tore things up. It's more of a tradition at this point. And Jordan Clarkson, I think, especially with the first half of the season, he was averaging almost 20 points a game. I know some people like had these ridiculous takes that he could be an all-star. I mean, it's not like too far out the picture, but yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. Kind of slowed down ever since the All-Star break, but I think he just built up that lead ever since the beginning by so much. And yeah, he's my sixth man of the year.
Well, obviously the Jazz are going to need, I mean, they need Donovan Mitchell. He's their number one option. He has to get back and be healthy for this Jazz team to not let down on this top, top record. Because if they catch the Lakers in the first round without
Oh my
Donovan Mitchell,
gosh.
it's not going to be pretty. But Jordan Clarkson has been absolutely amazing. He stepped into the starting role a few times. They need a game, he gets 40. Like he can score. He's confident. He's gotten better. And there's no player right now that I would rather have coming off my bench first and still having the ability to finish games. Carmelo has that too, but I just think Clarkson is younger. It's more sustainable. He's been absolutely amazing. So I just have to say that it's Jordan Clarkson for me.
Yeah, I mean, his impact on the Jazz cannot be denied. Like, whether it's just going to the paint, whether it's shooting the three ball, he has just been a massive part of the Jazz's team. And a big part of that really good bench of theirs, along with Joe Ingles for most of the season. Same thing with Georges Niang. They just have a really good team down there in Utah. Obviously, they're going to need Donovan Mitchell, but Jordan Clarkson is an extremely important piece to that team. Let's move on to the next award, and we're going to be talking about the most improved player. Some people, the thing about the most improved player, I don't know if you get this when you talk to basketball with other people, but people have like different definitions of most improved. Some people look at the stats. Some people say, "Oh, if this guy is in the just move from the bench to the starting lineup and gets these stats, it doesn't count." But how do you feel about this most improved player? I know a lot of people are like iffy on the fence on it.
So that was going to be the beginning of my speech. Is that how do you define the most improved player? Now, to me, one of the favorites hasn't really made, he was already a 20-10 guy. Now he's just like elevated it to borderline superstar, first team all NBA, you know?
Yeah.
For me, I have a couple guys on my list. This is the one where I said you're going to laugh and you're going to give me a hard time. But
Okay.
two of the guys on my list, I'll start with Gary Trent Jr. Now, you look at where the points and everything have gone up a little bit, but to me, it was more about the confidence. It was about this player realizing it was his time in Portland to step up and start filling that role that CJ McCollum left. I really believe part of the reason that they couldn't keep him there was because he was too similar to McCollum, and they're not going to offer him a big contract to stick around. So they got your boy Norman Powell, who is a great fit for that Portland team as well and can do a lot of the things. But Gary Trent Jr. has emerged to a guy I would be happy being my third option on my basketball team because the way he can rip the three and he competes. So I love Gary Trent Jr. Now, from my Los Angeles Lakers, THT and Dynamite. This guy he didn't play a lot last year because he was in the G League. And I have a little bit of an affinity for many reasons. One, we share the last name. We're both a couple of light-skinned brothers. And while I was working out at the gym last year, they always played the Lakers G League games. So I would see the youngest Antetokounmpo playing, and I would see Taylor Horton-Tucker, and I would just see him filling it up out there. And I was like, it's kind of awkward and goofy looking, and he's out of control, and he gets hit in the face a lot because he leans forward too much. But THT he's just getting so much more confident. And it's easier to gain confidence when LeBron and AD are the ones patting you on the back and saying, go for it, kid. Take this shot. Drive to the hoop late and get. He stepped up and hit a three against the Knicks the other day, and I was like, oh, man, I can't wait for you to continue to grow. And I could see him at some point being a reliable third player on a team. Not now. It's about 3-4 years away. But I could see him being a reliable third player, scoring, defense, effort. And my last guy is the one that everybody talks about is Julius Randle. To me, he qualifies in my most improved category in this one based on his jump from good to great. So I have both categories.
Yeah. I definitely like those. Those suggestions. Yeah, they're interesting. I mean, the Gary Trent one, I like that one. I mean, he's definitely like definitely like there in terms of like improvement. He filled it up when McCollum was gone, and then they realized, wait, yeah, I guess it's too similar for sure. He's probably a better defender, but it's just a bit too similar. But I'm glad that the Raptors have him. I'm a huge fan of his. Hopefully, he could stay long term for us. Taylor Horn Tucker. I mean, he's improved. He has definitely improved, but I see him winning the award maybe 2 or 3 years down the line where he can maybe like take a step from what he is right now to maybe like a 17, 18 point per game scorer. I just think that most improved this year. Yeah, interesting. Interesting choice over there. The Laker bias, it's smelling kind of it's smelling kind of strong over there. But yeah, the one candidate that we agree on, Julius Randle, he's been absolutely fantastic for the Knicks. From good to great. That is my favorite type of most improved player candidates. Someone who has been good for like a good chunk of his career, a la Victor Oladipo, Paul George back in the day, and then just taking that next step to near superstardom. Two other guys I had as my candidates, Jeremy Grant. He bet on himself going to the Detroit Pistons, and he's taken that number one option. He's been actually very good, scoring over 22 points a game. Pretty solid percentages. Plays very well in the defensive end still. He's one of my candidates. And then also Jaylen Brown. I know the Celtics are a hard talking point to talk about just because they've been very, very disappointing this year. But Jaylen Brown, to a lesser extent than Julius Randle, was a good player last year. But then he has elevated his game to all-star level. If I'm the Celtics, I'm very comfortable with him being the second option going forward in the future. That's why he is my candidate. But Tony, after talking about your candidates, how do you have winning most improved?
Okay, so in my defense, you are right. THT is a few years away from being an actual real contender. He needs to work his way into a regular starting role and increase his 3-point. Julius Randle is my winner because, like I said, when you go good to great, you're stepping into an elite class in the NBA. His 3-point ability has impressed me so much, so you can tell he worked on that. His rebounding tenacity, when you see him on the offensive glass, like trying to work out there and tip balls, playing big guys, playing smaller guys, taking anybody off the dribble who stands in front of him. I really like the leap that he has made. And for that reason, when I can say you were good, but now I'm like, is he a top 10 player in the NBA? That means something happened, you improved. The league didn't come back to you, you caught up and jumped ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Julius Randle is my most improved player as well. What's crazy to believe is that last year on the New York Knicks, people said that he was a dead contract. He was putting up empty numbers on a bad team. Like, people almost just wrote Julius Randle off completely. This year, he has taken that criticism and he's taken his game to a whole new level. Honestly, the 2 games I watched him like versus the Raptors, it hurt me to see him just hit step back 3 after step back 3. I mean, just the improvement he's made, both on the offensive and defensive side, has been absolutely fantastic. He's probably even going to make an All-NBA team, which I talked about in my last episode. I have him in one of my All-NBA teams. And just a change of perspective from fans and players alike around the league on Julius Randle and the way it just completely turned around this year is something extremely amazing to see. And man, honestly, I have him as a top 20 player right now, but on his projection, he could definitely get better down the line.
Well, winning cures a lot of ails, right? And I think that I don't remember who the coach was last year.
It was like Mike Miller, some dude named Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, Mike Woodson, Mike somebody. It doesn't even matter because you have to be able to use the ability. And here's the thing, like I was talking to somebody whose father is a Knicks fan. He's like, oh, the Knicks are going to get a bunch of players. They're not. This is as good as it's going to get for the Knicks. Here's the good news for the New York Knicks. If they can figure out a way to keep Julius Randle there and keep him happy with Thibodeau, and you have Emmanuel quickly coming up, Obi Toppin, because Thibodeau doesn't like to play a lot of young guys. It's very Phil Jackson like that. A lot of good veteran coaches on teams that want to be competitive, they don't play their young guys a ton of minutes. But Toppin, quickly, these guys are going to start to emerge. With Randall's ability now to step out and hit the 3, that frees up the center. That's exactly, to me, max players, you have to be able to hit the 3 and be dominant. You can't just be done. I'm watching Andre Drummond out there for the Lakers. If somebody gives this guy max money somewhere next year, I will go ahead, but it better not be. And I know it won't be the Lakers, but like, I just am out there. I'm like, dude, you're just in the center and you rebound offensively. But Julius Randle in that position on the Lakers, it would be insane right now.
Yeah. I think that, again, we talked about Jordan Clarkson earlier, but Julius Randle took his opportunity like after like getting out the lights of Los Angeles, now under the lights of New York, and he has rejuvenated that franchise. And who knows, they have like 40 million in cap room over the next 2 years. Maybe they could bring someone in, and maybe the Knicks can become a formidable contender once again, which they haven't been in a while. And Julius Randle, I think, is like a big reason as to why things are turning around for this team. And that is the end of part 1 of me and Tony's NBA award show. I decided to put this into 2 parts, mostly because it was a very long episode. So you got 3 awards right now. Tomorrow you're going to get the rest of the awards, including the fun awards, including the MVP. But I hope you go just enjoy this episode. Thank you again for Tony for coming on. I'll drop all the links to the Warzone Sports Network and his channels down below, and also in my link tree. But yeah, if you guys want to see the full version already, it is up on my podcast if you just really are dying to see the rest of it. But if you're waiting for the video format, I will be releasing part 2 tomorrow. But yeah, hope you all have a fantastic day. Take it easy, guys. TV signing out. Peace.